Sigma males exist in the shadows of social hierarchies, neither seeking dominance like alphas nor conforming to the background like betas. They are the enigmatic outliers, the self-sufficient strategists who navigate life on their own terms. Often dubbed lone wolves, they reject the need for external validation, operating with a quiet confidence that renders them immune to peer pressure. Unlike the alpha, who thrives on recognition, or the beta, who seeks approval, the Sigma male answers only to himself. His independence is his greatest strength, allowing him to move undetected through social structures while maintaining complete autonomy over his decisions. A Sigma male in his balanced form is a master of self-discipline, using his sharp intellect and emotional detachment to build a life of calculated success. He doesn't waste energy on unnecessary conflicts or ego-driven power struggles. Instead, he observes, analyzes, and acts with precision, always several steps ahead. His ability to remain unfazed by societal expectations makes him both formidable and elusive. But when a Sigma turns dark, these same traits morph into dangerous weapons. His independence becomes isolation, his self-reliance transforms into ruthless detachment, and his resistance to influence hardens into cold, unfeeling logic. Unlike the explosive aggression of a toxic alpha, a destructive Sigma operates in silence, dismantling obstacles and people with surgical precision. His actions are methodical, his revenge patient, and his psychological warfare nearly undetectable until it's too late. The following breakdown reveals 8 ways a malevolent Sigma male can orchestrate chaos more effectively than any domineering alpha ever could, proving that the most dangerous predators don't roar, they watch, wait, and strike when least expected. Number 1. The invisible theater of psychological domination. Where the alpha male conquers through brute force dominance displays, the Sigma male wages a far more insidious war, a silent campaign of psychological attrition fought in the uncharted territory of the human subconscious. He's a master behavioral architect, constructing invisible labyrinths of doubt and anxiety tailored to each target's deepest insecurities. His methodology resembles a dark variation of neurolinguistic programming. Through hyper-observational skills, he creates detailed psychographic profiles of everyone in his orbit. The way a colleague's left eyelid twitches when receiving criticism, how a friend's breathing pattern changes when discussing their ex, which topics make a supervisor overcompensate with jargon, these become his weapons inventory. Unlike the blunt trauma of bullying, his techniques are precision-guided emotional munitions designed to bypass conscious defenses. The execution is always impeccably timed. A seemingly offhand remark about how interesting it is that management never trusts junior staff with major accounts delivered during a stressful period can implant career-paralyzing doubts. A strategically raised eyebrow during a presentation can undo months of preparation. The true brilliance lies in the plausible deniability. Each intervention is carefully crafted to appear accidental or well-intentioned. Victims experience the psychological equivalent of gaslighting, questioning whether they're imagining the manipulation. Most chilling is the delayed reaction mechanism. A Sigma might plant a seed of insecurity that takes weeks to germinate, ensuring no apparent connection to his original comment. By the time the damage manifests, a sudden loss of confidence during a crucial meeting, uncharacteristic hesitation in decision-making, the Sigma has long moved on to other targets. The victim's subsequent professional stumbles appear self-inflicted, while the Sigma maintains pristine deniability and often gains from their downfall. This psychological warfare leaves no forensic evidence, just a trail of unraveling personalities and inexplicable self-sabotage among those who've crossed him. The Sigma watches the carnage with quiet satisfaction, already identifying his next psychological operations theater. Number 2. The unemotional calculus of ruthless decision-making. The toxic Sigma male operates with a disquieting mechanical precision when wronged, bypassing emotional reactions entirely. Where others might erupt in anger or seek vindictive satisfaction, he engages in what can only be described as behavioral economics of human relationships. His mind becomes an algorithmic processor, evaluating every social connection through a lens of pure utility. Allies are neither friends nor enemies, they're variables in an ongoing optimization equation. This emotional detachment allows for startlingly amoral calculations. He might maintain a beneficial relationship for years, showing perfect cordiality, only to instantly discard the person the moment their usefulness expires. There's no ceremony to the severance. One day they're included, the next they're erased from his sphere with the same indifference as deleting an obsolete file. The Sigma doesn't experience the cognitive dissonance that plagues normal people when making harsh choices. His internal monologue lacks the "maybe I'm being unfair" counterpoint that humanizes most individuals. Consider a workplace scenario where a well-liked but mediocre employee makes an error jeopardizing an important deadline. Conventional managers might offer mentorship or restructure responsibilities. The Sigma solution is chillingly elegant, overnight reassignment to a dead-end project with plausible deniability. When questioned, he'll cite workflow optimization with such convincing metrics that even HR approves. The victim's confusion and distress simply don't register as factors in his decision matrix. This operational ruthlessness becomes terrifying when applied to personal relationships. He can end years-long friendships or romantic partnerships with the same clinical detachment as canceling an underperforming subscription service. Number 3, the silent countdown of delayed vengeance. Most people's anger burns hot and fast, flaring up in the moment before fizzling out into grudges or apologies. But the Sigma male doesn't operate on emotional time. His retaliation doesn't follow the rhythm of impulse, it follows the precision of a timed detonation. When crossed, he doesn't lash out. He doesn't even seem bothered. Instead, he files the transgression away like a debt to be collected, not today, not tomorrow, but at the exact moment when repayment will be most devastating. He shakes hands, smiles, and moves on, all while quietly observing his target's life, waiting for the perfect intersection of ambition and vulnerability. Months or even years later, when his target is on the verge of a major career milestone, a new relationship, or a financial windfall, that's when he strikes. Not with a dramatic confrontation, but with surgical precision. A withheld piece of information that causes a critical deal to collapse at the 11th hour. A strategically leaked secret that unravels a reputation just as the target is up for promotion. A carefully placed doubt in the mind of an influential ally, turning them against the target without the Sigma ever lifting a finger. The brilliance of his revenge is that it doesn't look like revenge at all. There's no rage, no vendetta, just an unfortunate series of coincidences that somehow always seem to benefit him. The target is left scrambling, wondering where things went wrong, never realizing that their downfall was set in motion long ago by a man who never forgets, never forgives, and never acts in haste. While others waste energy on petty squabbles, the Sigma waits. He knows that true power isn't in the immediate reaction, it's in the ability to let your enemy believe they've won, right up until the moment you pull the rug out from under them. And by then, it's far too late for them to fight back. Number 4, the art of invisible intelligence harvesting. For the Sigma male, information is not merely power, it is leverage, insurance, and ammunition, all wrapped into one. While alphas rely on brute force dominance and betas seek validation through blind loyalty, the Sigma male operates in the unseen margins, collecting intelligence with the precision of a covert operative. His methods are so refined, so seamlessly integrated into everyday interactions, that his targets never realize they've been studied, analyzed, and mentally cataloged until the moment he chooses to strike. By then, resistance is futile, he has already constructed an unshakable advantage. The forensic interviewer, extracting secrets under the guise of casualty. The Sigma male approaches conversations like an interrogator cloaked in friendliness. His questions are never random, each one is a carefully placed probe disguised as harmless small talk. A seemingly innocuous, "How's your workload these days?" isn't just polite curiosity, it's a reconnaissance mission. The answer reveals who is drowning in responsibilities, and thus vulnerable to pressure, who is underutilized, and possibly resentful, and who might be cutting corners out of desperation. A sympathetic, "You seem stressed, anything I can help with," isn't an offer of support, it's a psychological trap, an invitation for the target to unwittingly disclose insecurities, frustrations, or hidden conflicts. The Sigma listens, nods, and files away every confession for future use. But his true mastery lies not in what he asks, it's in what he observes without asking. He deciphers the unspoken language of human behavior, the fractional pause before an answer, the micro-expression of discomfort flickering across a face, the way someone's posture stiffens at the mention of a rival's name. These involuntary tells are gold to him, each one a data point meticulously logged in his mental dossier. Over time, he assembles a psychological profile on everyone in his orbit, who secretly resents authority, who harbors unspoken ambitions, who folds under pressure, who craves validation. He doesn't just know people's weaknesses, he knows exactly how to exploit them. The silent puppeteer, weaponizing knowledge without detection. When the time comes to act, the Sigma male doesn't make a scene. He doesn't issue threats or engage in overt manipulation. Instead, he orchestrates outcomes by letting his targets hand him the knife. Perhaps he recalls a vulnerability they once confessed in a moment of weakness and subtly reminds them of it at a critical juncture, steering their decisions in his favor. Maybe he accidentally leaks a piece of information to the right person at the right time, setting off a chain reaction that destabilizes an opponent. Or perhaps he simply remains silent as others self-destruct, having already nudged them toward their own undoing with a few well-placed suggestions. The brilliance of his strategy is its deniability. There are no direct confrontations, no incriminating paper trails, just a series of seemingly unrelated events that somehow always benefit him. By the time his targets realize they've been outmaneuvered, the Sigma has already retreated into the background, his role in their downfall untraceable. He leaves no fingerprints, only consequences. And while others scramble to piece together what happened, he is already 3 moves ahead, silently harvesting new intelligence, waiting for the next opportunity to strike. The ultimate advantage, invisible control. What makes the Sigma male's intelligence gathering so formidable is its invisibility. Unlike traditional power players who rely on intimidation or overt influence, he dominates through knowledge that others never realize they've surrendered. He doesn't need to force outcomes, he engineers them so that they appear organic, as if fate itself bends to his will. And because he operates in the shadows, outside the usual social hierarchies, no one thinks to guard against him. By the time his enemies recognize the pattern, it's already too late. The Sigma male isn't just a step ahead, he's been scripting the game from the beginning. And in a world where information is the ultimate currency, he is the silent banker, collecting debts that others don't even know they owe. Number 5, the sound of dominance, how silence becomes a weapon of mass psychological destruction. In the arsenal of Sigma control tactics, silence isn't merely the absence of speech, it's a calculated instrument of psychological warfare. Where others fill empty space with explanations, apologies, or counterarguments, the Sigma understands the paralyzing power of deliberate non-response. His silent treatment follows precise psychological principles. The uncertainty principle: human brains interpret silence as an unsolved equation, compulsively generating possible meanings. Is he angry? Planning something? Did I miscalculate? The projection effect: without external cues, people project their worst fears onto the silence. The anticipation factor: prolonged silence creates escalating tension that impairs rational thinking. Watch how this unfolds in practice. A colleague makes a veiled insult during a meeting. The Sigma doesn't react in the moment, he lets the comment hang in the air, maintaining unbroken eye contact while methodically closing his notebook. The room's atmosphere shifts palpably. Over subsequent days, he continues normal interactions with everyone except the offender, creating an isolating effect. The original aggressor now replays the incident with increasing anxiety. Questions whether others noticed the slight. Wonders if retaliation is coming. Starts overcompensating with nervous chatter. In romantic dynamics, this silent treatment becomes even more devastating. A partner who receives days of unexplained silence after a minor transgression will construct elaborate self-blaming narratives, offer increasingly desperate concessions, experience actual cognitive impairment from stress hormones, eventually beg for forgiveness for crimes they didn't commit. The Sigma's silence creates a psychological vacuum where normal people's need for resolution collapses in on itself. What makes this tactic particularly cruel is its asymmetric impact. While the target experiences it as emotional torture, the Sigma remains perfectly calm, observing the breakdown with detached interest. He's not suppressing anger, he's conducting a live experiment in human vulnerability. This silent domination achieves what shouting matches never could. It doesn't just win arguments, it reprograms how people behave around him. Colleagues preemptively censor themselves, partners walk on eggshells, and rivals second-guess their strategies, all because they've learned that the Sigma's silence is more terrifying than any outburst could ever be. Number 6, the psychological autopsy, weaponizing self-knowledge against others. The Sigma male conducts a perpetual forensic analysis of human psychology, beginning with himself. Where most people construct elaborate defense mechanisms to avoid confronting their flaws, the Sigma dissects his own psyche with clinical detachment. He catalogs every insecurity, every compensatory behavior, every emotional trigger, not to heal them, but to understand their mechanics. This ruthless self-awareness becomes the blueprint for how he dismantles others. His diagnostic process operates with terrifying efficiency in social interactions. Within minutes of meeting someone, he's running a subconscious triage. The way a nervous executive over-enunciates when lying about metrics. How an insecure coworker lingers near the boss's office after meetings. The specific topics that make a romantic partner abruptly change subjects. These aren't casual observations, they're vulnerability assessments. The Sigma recognizes that what people consciously hide, incompetence, desperation, childhood trauma, matters less than how their subconscious betrays them through micro-expressions, speech patterns, and body language tells. His exploitation methods are surgical in precision. Consider the anxious employee who fears exposure as a fraud. The Sigma won't outright accuse them, that would create solidarity from others. Instead, he engineers scenarios where their insecurity does the work. volunteers them for a high-visibility project just before vacation season, accidentally forwards an email highlighting their past mistakes, arranges meetings where they must present to exacting senior executives. The beauty of this manipulation lies in its deniability. Each action appears professionally justifiable while systematically dismantling the target's confidence. The victim doesn't realize they're being played, they believe they're failing on their own merits. By the time they collapse under the pressure, the Sigma has already identified his next subject for psychological vivisection. Number 7. Silent revenge that leaves no trace. When a hostile Sigma male decides to retaliate, his methods are so subtle that victims often don't realize they've been targeted until it's too late. Unlike overt aggressors who rely on public confrontations or emotional outbursts, the Sigma male operates in the shadows, ensuring his revenge unfolds like a series of unfortunate coincidences. He never leaves fingerprints, just a trail of chaos that seems to emerge organically. His retaliation is patient, calculated, and executed with surgical precision, leaving his target scrambling to connect the dots. For instance, rather than openly attacking an adversary, he might plant a carefully worded doubt in the right ear, allowing a damaging rumor to spread as if it arose naturally. Alternatively, he could engineer a situation where key allies withdraw their support after private conversations in which he merely expressed concerns, never directly inciting action, just nudging perceptions in the desired direction. Another tactic might involve revealing a strategically timed piece of information at a crucial social gathering, instantly undermining someone's reputation without ever raising his voice. By the time the damage is done, the Sigma male is nowhere near the fallout, maintaining his usual detached demeanor. The brilliance of his revenge lies in its deniability. Every step is designed to appear accidental, making it nearly impossible to trace back to him. Victims replay past interactions, searching for the moment they offended him, but find nothing concrete, just a growing sense that the world has inexplicably turned against them. Meanwhile, the Sigma male watches from a distance, undisturbed by guilt, having already moved on to his next objective. His ability to inflict harm while remaining untouchable is what makes him so dangerous. By the time his target realizes they've been played, the Sigma has long since vanished into the background, leaving no evidence, only consequences. Number 8. They have persuasion that strikes only when it matters most. The Sigma male's power of persuasion is not derived from charismatic speeches or relentless debate, it comes from his mastery of silence, timing, and surgical precision in communication. Unlike those who constantly voice their opinions and dilute their influence through overexposure, the Sigma male understands that words gain weight through scarcity. He observes, listens, and strategically withholds his thoughts, allowing others to fill the silence with their own assumptions, biases, and vulnerabilities. By the time he finally speaks, his audience is primed to receive his words with heightened attention, interpreting his rare input as profound simply because it is so infrequent. The illusion of neutrality, how silence creates influence. Because the Sigma male does not engage in petty office politics or trivial debates, he cultivates an aura of impartiality. People begin to see him as an objective observer rather than a participant with vested interests, which makes his eventual interjections all the more persuasive. When a contentious discussion arises, his silence is not passive, it is a deliberate strategy. While others exhaust themselves arguing, he absorbs every detail, who is emotionally invested, who is wavering, and where the hidden fractures in consensus lie. Then, at the precise moment when indecision is at its peak, he delivers a single, calculated statement, never emotional, never excessive, just a distilled point that cuts through the noise. For example, in a corporate boardroom where two factions are deadlocked over a major financial decision, the Sigma male does not waste time with lengthy speeches. Instead, he waits until frustration has set in, then offers a concise, data-backed observation. If we pursue option A, historical trends suggest a 70% chance of exceeding projections, but only if we reallocate resources from the underperforming division. The statement appears purely analytical, devoid of personal bias, yet it plants an idea that shifts the entire discussion. Because he has not previously taken sides, his words are received as impartial wisdom rather than advocacy. And because he frames his point as objective fact, opposition is difficult. No one can argue with numbers, only interpretations. The economy of words, why less is more. The Sigma male's most potent weapon is his ability to convey maximum impact with minimal speech. Unlike those who ramble, repeat themselves, or dilute their arguments with unnecessary qualifiers, he strips his language down to its most potent form. There are no emotional appeals, no rhetorical flourishes, just cold, unassailable logic. This precision makes his statements nearly impossible to refute, as there is no excess to attack, no emotional bias to undermine. Consider a scenario where a colleague is angling for a promotion, relying on charisma and self-promotion to make their case. The Sigma male, observing this, waits until a key stakeholder expresses doubts. Then, with perfect timing, he might remark, his last 3 projects missed deadlines by an average of 17%. The data suggests reliability is an issue. That single sentence, delivered without malice or emphasis, carries devastating weight. It is not an attack, it is a statement of fact. And because the Sigma male has no history of petty criticism, the observation is perceived as objective truth rather than sabotage. The damage is done before the target even realizes they've been undermined. The long game, how a single sentence echoes indefinitely. The true brilliance of the Sigma male's persuasion lies in its lingering effect. Because he speaks so rarely, his words are not easily forgotten. A well-placed comment in a meeting can resurface weeks later in private discussions, shaping decisions long after the original conversation has ended. Unlike the loudest voice in the room, whose constant noise eventually fades into background static, the Sigma male's sparse but potent statements embed themselves in the collective memory of the group. For instance, if he casually notes during a strategy session that, expanding into that market carries regulatory risks we haven't fully assessed, the seed of doubt is planted. Even if others initially dismiss it, the concern lingers. Weeks later, when obstacles arise, his words are remembered as foresight, reinforcing his reputation for wisdom and further amplifying his influence. Over time, this pattern ensures that when he does speak, people listen intently, knowing his words will have consequences far beyond the immediate moment. Conclusion. The most dangerous Sigma males thrive on their ability to remain unseen until it's too late. They don't announce their intentions with bold declarations or emotional outbursts. Instead, they let their independence, razor-sharp intellect, and unnerving patience do the work for them. Operating outside traditional hierarchies, they evade the social safeguards that keep others in check, moving undetected through conflicts and power struggles. Their silence invites underestimation, their calm masks meticulous calculation, and their emotional detachment allows them to act without hesitation or remorse. By the time someone realizes they've drawn a Sigma male's attention, he has already assessed the situation, planned his approach, and chosen the most devastating moment to strike. His actions are never impulsive, they are deliberate, timed for maximum impact with minimal exposure. This invisible, strategic nature is what makes the darkest Sigma males so unsettling. They don't just outmaneuver their opponents, they do so in a way that leaves no clear path for retaliation. And when the consequences finally surface, the chilling realization sets in, he was always several moves ahead, and you never even saw him coming. Thank you for watching.